Be excellent to each other and party on. We're back for another Legacy League where we are going to hopefully slaughter some combo decks. This is the most punishing deck you can play against combo decks. Blue-black Stiflenought. We have, of course, Stiflenought 12/12. Trample for 1 mana. As long as you stifle the sacrifice trigger or you get a dress down in before you cast it. Let's talk about the other aspects of the deck. We've got 4 Tamiyo. We've got 4 Psychic Frog. We've got an incredible tempo suite. Basically, the most tempo you can go. We're going full tempo here with 4 Daze, 4 Wasteland, 4 Stifle, and, of course, the 4 Force of Will. And we've even got a Thoughtseize. And this one little Thoughtseize is going to probably come up so many times during the league. And it can be regrown with Tamiyo in combo matchups. And we can usually still keep up blue mana so that we can stifle. The whole point of this deck is to disrupt your opponent early, get them off balance, and then stick a Dreadnought that they can't respond to. Then we do have 4 Fatal Push, which is inferior to Swords of Plowshares, most definitely. But I didn't want to convolute the mana base by playing 3 colors this time. I just wanted to go very simple, clean, blue-black. We've even got some basics in here, and we've got 18 lands plus Sink into Stupor. This is a modal card where you can either have a bounce effect where you can also bounce a spell to its opponent's hand. So it's got the Venser effect, or you can bounce a permanent. And for 3 mana, that is pretty good. Like, it can surprise the opponent. We can even do it multiple turns in a row if we've got Tamiyo, Seasoned Scholar out. I think this is going to be a really fun league. Let's take a look at the sideboard. We are gunning for Nadu, which I've been losing to a lot lately, unfortunately, especially the Cradle version, which I seem to have underestimated. A lot of people are saying that's the best version of Nadu. It's better than Bant. It's better than Breakfast. We will see. And then in combo matchups, we can board in Thoughtseize. We might be able to board out, for example, some of our Fatal Pushes. And I want to have relevant stuff to board in if we're up against combo. I also love Orcish Bowmasters against combo decks and against Beanstalk decks and Jeskai control. Any sort of control deck, you want to bring in as many Bowmasters as you can. It's really the best card in the entire meta against control decks right now. So we can just take out our Fatal Pushes, bring in 4 Orcish Bowmasters, clean substitution. I've also got a couple Hydroblasts. We're not as weak to red as a lot of decks because all we need is a single island and any land. And even if there's a Blood Moon out, we can play the Dreadnought and we can stifle it. Or we can dress down, go to our main phase. You usually do this in end step and it dies it dies in the subsequent end step, so it'll stay in play during your turn, and then you can play the Dreadnought. So a single blue mana and we are golden. This usually takes the opponent out in 1 to 2 swings, and it's pretty difficult for them to remove. Who am I kidding? It's pretty easy to remove, but a lot of combo decks don't play removal, and a lot of aggro decks don't really play removal either, not in the way that we would traditionally think of it. So I think that this is going to be pretty powerful against them. We've got the 4 Consign to Memories, and we can actually take out the Stifles in decks against decks that don't have fetch lands, and we can bring in Consign to Memory, and it's like a strict upgrade to Stifle in those matchups. But don't kid yourself. Consign is no Stifle. Stifle is so strong. It's always been strong against fetch land decks. So let's go play a full league. We're going to have a blast. We're going to hopefully destroy some combo decks. That's what I'm setting out to do today. I'll see you in round 1. Round 1, we're up against an unknown opponent. This is a snap keep. We've got Force. We've got the combo. I think this is going to get us places. We also have access to both basics if we need them. Forest. Pass? Okay. That's an interesting start. All right. Don't know quite what to make of that start. I think if they were on Nadu, they would almost certainly have a 1-drop because most of the cards in that deck are 1-drops. This could be lands. This could be... I'm trying to think. I have no idea what this is. I mean, I could guess as to what it is, but it's not like a high likelihood that I'm guessing correctly. We do have a Surveil land. No, wait, do we? I don't think we have a Surveil land in the deck. So there's no real point in fetching in the end step. I'm actually going to check the deck and see if there's a Surveil land in here. So I don't think it's always correct to put a Surveil land in your deck. And I think when you're playing like 4 Stifles and you're playing like you're going down on mana and stuff, and like every mana is really important because you're compressing the game, it doesn't necessarily make sense to put them in. And I did not put them in. So that was not an accident. That was an intentional design decision that I made like 5 minutes ago when I was building this deck and I forgot about. Okay. I just wanted to double check. So I think that normally I would just lead Island Ponder, but we're not sure what we're looking for here. I think it's fine to just lead with the swamp, potential swamp, and pass. And this also preserves some mystery as to what we're doing. We could still be like a mono black deck. I mean, if I play the island, it gives them slightly more information. But like this is probably the most played land in the format right now, other than maybe Wasteland. So our plan at this point is to disrupt them. We can go fetch a Fatal Push. We can fetch and Fatal Push if we need to this turn. Okay, Once Upon a Time. So I think we're probably up against Eldrazi. I'm going to read the text of Kozilek's command to make sure it can't exile this. Yes, so unfortunately, it can be exiled by Kozilek's command, which is a great bummer because it should have said exile target creature that's one or more colors. That is how, like, Devourer of Destiny. So we do dodge Devourer of Destiny. Fleshraker, we can just push this. So I think we let it resolve. And then, okay, now they're passing priority. I'm going to immediately push this with prejudice, as the courts say. All right. I am the judge, and I deem you sentenced to falling really far. Okay, let's do this. So let's see what we draw, but I'm pretty sure I just want to dress down into Phyrexian Dreadnought with double force up. I think that that would be the ideal situation, so we can protect our Phyrexian Dreadnought. There are cards that can exile Dreadnought, like Wastegate Battle Mage, but I think it's possible that they don't have those. I think it's unlikely they have those. Fatal Push is not a great draw. I don't think pondering here is the right move. We've got all the mana we need to win. Like, this deck does not require 3 mana for anything except for casting the backside of, or the front side of Sink into Stupor. Aggro decks have traditionally struggled to be able to beat Phyrexian Dreadnought. I think this represents probably a Kozilek's command. This is going to replace itself at the very worst. This will be a 1-for-1. Or actually, Kozilek's command usually 2-for-1s in the sense that they get something and they, yeah. Okay, so we're going to get to draw here. Thoughtseize is fine, actually. If we draw another land, I'll be pretty happy. Oh, that's a freaking great land. My goodness. Okay, so I think here we can cut them off colorless, which is actually pretty important. But I think you always go after the eye here. And I am going to go ahead and go after the eye first. This may spur them to cast Kozilek's command while they can get the discount, because they're only going to be able to K command for 1. Okay. I'm not sure what they're doing here, but I think it's probably a K command. And I think we probably just let it happen and save our disruption. They're probably going to put some spawns into play. They're going to scry and draw a card. X equals 3. I think this is fine. You could definitely argue that I should have Thoughtseize before I let them do this, but so currently we only have 1 force effect up, which could be problematic. I mean, they could Sowing Mycospawn our entire mana base. Well, they can't actually. They can only exile 1 because these are basics. I am going to go ahead and check their hand. I should have done this before I Thoughtseize them. That was bad sequencing on my part. I just want to make sure that we can take... Okay, what the heck does this do? Devoid. Adapt 1. Whenever 1 or more +1 counters are put on it, you can create a spawn token. Okay, and then... Okay, so basically you put a +1/+1 counter. That's not a big deal. But they do have Sowing Mycospawn. I think what we do here is just take the 1 ring. I think that's pretty important to get that out of their hand. They will be able to cast that next turn with these spawns. Now I'm just going to play my Dreadnought, and I'm going to pass. We have Force Up. They have to draw an answer to this within the next 2 turns. If they're tapping this, really, like, they're going to feel the pain pretty quickly. This is Trample, so spawns, like, this is one of the reasons why I don't think Barragoyf is really good right now, is there are so many spawn tokens everywhere, and you're just never going to connect with Barragoyf. So I will definitely stand for, oh, okay, interesting. That's not a good draw for them. They don't need more mana, especially not one-shot mana. Oh, wow. Please tap that tomb. Is this another K command? This is a Sowing Spawn. Yeah, it can't be a K command. It looks like they're going to exile something, and they're going to search. I think we just let this happen. We don't need to cast any more spells this turn. We do want to draw blue cards, for sure. They are going after my swamp, which is surprising, considering that, like, I'm base blue, but they don't know that. Maybe they think... I'm not sure what they're worried about. I would almost certainly go for island here. So we do have the option of pondering to find a land and then still having force up. But if I draw a second blue source, I'm going to just hold. I don't think they have Wastegate Battlemage main deck. But if they do, Wastegate Battlemage can exile our Dreadnought. It's just like a what? I think that's way too slow. You're dead in 2 swings, dude. All right. And they can't even tap that. Well, okay, they can next turn if they want, but creating a construct is not going to accomplish much. And this, they're definitely dead before the search trigger goes off, unless I'm missing something. I guess we can be pretty confident that they don't have Maze of Ith in their deck. Okay, we drew a land. That's good. I am definitely going to play out this land, and then I'm going to attack, and I'm going to pass. Is there anything I could find in my deck that would be good here? It might be worth pondering. They've got one more card draw, and they're not going to be able to use very much mana. Because I can pitch Force to Force and stop one thing. Okay, they're going down pretty low. 5. Okay, so they can tap these and still survive. I think I am going to go ahead and ponder here. I probably should have pondered first in case I found a Wasteland. I'm going to take the Daze. That is probably pretty good considering how low they are in life. And now we have Force and Daze up, and we're going to draw something next turn. I think we're going to draw the Wasteland. I can't remember how I stacked it because it's not really that relevant. I think they're just going to die next turn unless they have some miraculous draw. Putting this construct into play is not going to absorb much damage. They're going to take more damage from creating the construct. I'm looking forward to the post-board games because those Stifles are all going to become consigned to memory. Right, and I don't think they have any things they can do. Again, we've got most of their stuff covered. Cosmic Command probably being the scariest thing they can do here. I am just going to force that. I'll keep the Daze up. Okay, and they concede. Okay, so that was pretty clean. This is something that, you know, a traditional kind of tempo deck would struggle with Eldrazi. Like, I think it's not like, but I think this configuration of the deck, we're probably like 60-40 against Eldrazi. Okay, so cards that are coming in are Consigns. Cards that are coming out are Stifles. I don't think we need to make any other substitutions. I'm not wild about Thoughtseize in this matchup, but I don't think it's that terrible. And I think it's better than bringing in like an Orcish Bowmasters. And nothing else on our sideboard is good. So we're just going to make it nice and simple like that. All right, this is not a spectacular hand because of the weakness to Wasteland. We do have a Consign. I am pretty afraid that they just open Wasteland and they kill us. I'm going to check and see like whether Eldrazi are still on for Wasteland. They may not be. Okay, so I'm using MTG Top 8. You can like view lists in aggregate, and this is just a quick snapshot, but basically Wasteland is, almost always a 4 of. Some of the 12 post decks went down to like 1 Wasteland just as something to fetch with Sowing Mycospawn. I'm not going to keep this. Also, we don't have Phyrexian Dreadnought, even though we have the other half of the combo. I will keep a Frog hand. Oh, this is pretty good. So I like the double land. I think we put back Ponder, and then we... Dreadnought's so good that I do kind of want to put back Dreadnought because we might be able to draw into a Stifle or a Consign. I'm just going to put back one of the Ponders. We're going to be very proactive against this Eldrazi deck. Once Upon a Time. So to be clear, I'm pretty sure Psychic Frog is the card that we're going to try to win with here. That's frustrating, but there's nothing we can do about it. That's basically just in play. I'm not playing Prismatic Ending because I'm not playing white, so I don't have a way to remove that. That could protect them K-commanding our creatures for sure. Okay, we drew a Brainstorm, which is not bad. I think I'm going to get the island and I'm going to ponder just because I don't want to get wasted into Oblivion. I don't really need black after I cast the Psychic Frog, and I can actually pitch my entire hand to Psychic Frog since my force won't matter and just try to win that way. But I am going to go ahead and start with a ponder. There's the Consign we were looking for. So we could just Dreadnought Consign. I do think that that's better than Psychic Frog. If we take an extra turn, we could even check their hand. We don't want this Daze ever. I'm not going to take an extra turn. I'm just going to go for the combo next turn and make them have it. Yep. And then as a backup plan, we do have Psychic Frog, but Phyrexian Dreadnought, like part of the reason you play Phyrexian Dreadnought is just to get free wins against decks that don't play very much removal. You could argue that it's safer to play Psychic Frog and hold up Consign in case they have Wastegate Battle Mage. So I imagine they have like 6 removal spells for Phyrexian Dreadnought in their deck. 4K command and probably 2 Wastegate. Let's take a look at this list to see how many Wastegate people are generally playing. Some people are playing main. Interesting. And then Wastegate Battle Mage, generally a 2 of, sometimes a 3 of, 2.2. So yeah, I mean, there's a decent chance that they have Wastegate Battle Mage. And Wastegate Battle Mage is particularly insidious because it can exile artifacts and enchantments. Okay, they're going to pay 3 mana. Is this a Sowing Mycospawn? It is. See what they get. Thankfully, they're unable to kick it on turn 2. I think I've seen a kicked Sowing Mycospawn on turn 2. I think you go like Eye of Ugin, and then you play, what's it called? Yavimaya. And then maybe you have like a Lotus Petal or something like that. And then you can kick a Sowing Mycospawn on turn 2. But of course, it's not as dangerous because why are they getting Cavern? They already have Vexing Bubble out. Could they have something really broken in their hand? I'm trying to think of what they could have in their hand that they go get Cavern of Souls. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Don't they want like just sheer volume of mana? Go get another Eldrazi Temple, go get an Eye. Interesting. Okay, well, I don't think we wait. I think we make them have it. Psychic Frog is just as brittle to... Psychic Frog is just as brittle to K Command. This trigger is going to go on the stack. We're going to counter it. And we've got a 12-12. Do you have an answer for it? They haven't done any damage, so we are going to have to get 2 hits in. They could put enough power in play. I don't think it's likely, but they could put enough power in play that they can block for a few turns. There's a Wasteland. Is this a construct? No. I was hoping it'd be a construct. I don't think we're going to win this game if they're tapping this much mana. But again, Devourer of Destiny, which they could have drawn, would not be something they can kill Phyrexian Dreadnought. It has to be K Command. All right. Hashtag ban Vexing Bubble. They're going to surveil. I'm not going to give up, but I think we probably have lost. They scryed 2 cards to the bottom, and they drew a card. They have Urza Saga probably... Okay, yeah, that's fine. Now we have to draw a land. We're going to take 3. They don't have a lot of pressure on board. They have 3 cards in hand. They don't know what their top cards are. I am going to go ahead and Brainstorm here to try to find land. And at the very worst, I can probably fetch and Thoughtseize. If I get Brainstorm locked, I'll probably concede. Okay, we didn't get Brainstorm locked. I'm going to put back these forces. I think it's highly unlikely that they crack their bauble. They can go get another bauble next turn anyway. So the option, we could Thoughtseize them, which does damage to us, which is not good. Or we could actually waste this, and then that goes away, and they have basically 2 mana. I kind of like doing that. But they do have so much mana in their deck, it's very risky to do that. And that does mean we will redraw one of these cards. I think I'm just going to fetch the Swamp and Thoughtseize them here. I'll just take the conservative line. Then next turn, we can Psychic Frog and waste. I don't think it makes sense to... I mean, Daze can actually be cast and get them. I think that's a rationale for keeping it around. That's like a late game type thing, but... All right. We're going to fight. Psychic Frog is a hell of a card. It may be able to get us to the end. Okay, let's read some of these. Blade of the Blood Chief. Whenever a creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on equipped creature. Okay, so basically this just combos. This makes your spawn tokens like buff your creatures. That seems pretty weak. I'm actually surprised that that's playable in Legacy. Karn is a pretty obvious take in my mind. It can just get all kind of the nasty stuff. I don't care about Spirit Guide. But it is worth noting that, yeah, so their hand is basically trash, in my humble opinion. No offense, but like, I think that those cards are not particularly threatening. I think what's the most threatening thing is just them potentially drawing like another K Command. Are they going to make... They should create a construct here. They're crazy. And well, I don't know what they drew, but it seems crazy not to make a construct. It's just going to give it. So it doesn't even give it +1/+1 initially. It gets equipped and it does nothing, essentially. Okay. So it's still 3/3. Yeah, that seems like a questionable play. But that means that they didn't draw anything particularly menacing. Okay. What? A second one? Okay. I'm glad I didn't concede this game because I think we might have a shot. We might. All right, so I'm going to waste the temple. I'm going to draw a wild, and I'm going to frog. Frog can pitch 2 cards to become big enough to block this. They won't have a lot of mana. We can actually just push this, but I don't think that's the play. I think we get frog down. I am going to take this out, though. Blue, black, frog. They crack the bauble to create action. That's good for us. If they attack, I'll pitch my entire hand to block this. I don't think they'll do that, but come on, crack that bubble. They can't cast Elvish Spirit Guide. They basically got nothing going on unless they find land. This is just the most questionable of cards. Like this should definitely be like another Vexing Bubble. They could have just cantripped into something else. Playing 2 of them, I just don't understand that. They are really going deep down the brewing rainbow, whatever, deep down the brewing waterfall. Blade of the Blood Chief. I've heard of Blood Chief's Ascension, and what's the one that like you can kill a creature? All right. Oh, there we go. They've got the fear. We're at 10. Where's your aggressive spirit? I probably will push this just to get it out of the way so I can connect without having... I don't care about my graveyard, actually. My graveyard does nothing in this game. Once Upon a Time. Sure. We're going to see what they get at least, so we'll have information. We'll have perfect information. No, because they drew a card too. So we don't have perfect information about their hand. Ancient Tomb. Grim Monolith. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. All right, Dress Down. I like holding that. I'm just going to attack with Psychic Frog and see if they want to trade. I don't care too much about my life total. Dress Down actually is not a good card against them at all, but it does combo. I could discard the Dress Down. I might come to regret it, but with a Frog out, I do want to do damage here. I do kind of want to hold up Daze here. I know that may sound weird, but Daze can surprise them, and they are low in mana. If they do like a Kozilek's Command, they're probably going to go full volume. That's like one thing that would be very scary that they could do here. I think what we do is we ponder. If we find a Wasteland, that's really good. And that means that Daze will probably just get pitched. I don't think we need these cards. I think I'm going to any order shuffle, and I'm going to hope to rip a Wasteland. Tamiyo's not terrible, but she's probably going to get pitched. I think this really comes down to, do they crack the bauble so we can turn on Daze here? Do they draw action? If they draw like a Thoughtseize here, I can just pitch my hand. They are cracking the bauble. This is very good for us. They get a card. I think that's a mistake. I think they should just keep attacking. What do they tap for? They're going to grant uncounterability if it's an Eldrazi creature, but if it is a K command, we can stop it. If it's a dismember, that doesn't even really matter. Okay, they're going to attack here, which is fine. We are going to win the race. They didn't even use that floating mana before combat to attach the blade. I think they could have done that. It's 1 to equip. Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. Well, I am just going to keep attacking and hopefully drawing Wastelands or Ponders to find Wastelands. They're pausing in my upkeep. Do they have K command? They don't have mana. They have some mana. They could have actually 4 mana to exile this if they want a K command. That will give me a land drop for the turn. Somebody in the comments was saying, like, it feels wrong to say K command. All these years we've been saying Kozilek's Command is, okay, I'm just going to attack and see what they do. I don't think I'm going to pitch this Daze, though. I think I'll pitch Tamiyo and Marsh Flats. I don't think Tamiyo is particularly strong at this point because I think we've got them pretty on the ropes. I don't think this land is worth keeping. Do I want Tamiyo? I don't think I do. I'm going to go ahead and discard it and just amp up the damage. This way, they're going to take 5, and next turn, I believe they're dead on board. Seat 5. I'm drawing a card, and then I have 2 cards I can discard next turn. I'm just going to chill with lethal. They can block, of course, but it'll be a force block next turn. And their tomb is doing a lot of damage to them if they tap it. The scariest thing they could have, Wastegate Battle Mage. Taking 2 damage. Okay, this might be Kozilek's command. If this is Devourer of Destiny, I will be a very sad man. They're thinking like, oh, I can do it at instant speed maybe? I'm not sure what they're doing here. Summoning Myco Spawn. If we daze this, then they take an additional 2 from the tomb. But we have lethal on board. I think we just chill. I think we've established they don't have Maze of Ith. At least they didn't have it main deck. They could have it post board. Tabernacle. Okay. That's an interesting choice considering I have plenty of lands. And I can fly. Yeah, they just concede. All right, we got it. Yeah. Okay, round 2. See you there. We're 1-0. Round 2, we're on the play against an unknown opponent. I think this is a pretty good hand. I love the double Stifle if they are on like a fetch land strategy. We could always brainstorm if they don't fetch a land and find a land turn 2. We have Dress Down, which is half the combo. We have Psychic Frog, which is a great card. I'm going to keep this. All right, and let's hope they're on combo because, again, like this is the deck to beat combo. Not the deck, but it's one of the best decks to beat combo. There was, I think I listened to a podcast, and they had the winner of Eternal Weekend who was on, he was on the Mystic Forge deck, Carnforge, with Glaring Fleshrakers and powerful cards like that. Yeah, this is what we signed up for. Let's dance. Force the respect. Sure, go grab your creature. Hopefully this is not a Reanimator deck. Okay, it looks like it might be a Reanimator deck. Oh, Tamiyo. We can deal with her. We've got a Fatal Push. We just need to find it. So we already got a Force and a Brainstorm out of their hand. Not bad for 1 mana. There's a Dreadnought. So we do have the combo. We need to find land. I'm going to Brainstorm. My dream would be to hit a fetch, which we'd hit. And now we can push Tamiyo. All these cards are good, though. I mean, I think what I might do is I might just waste this turn. They clearly want that land. Then I'll draw the Delta. And then next turn, I can just combo. Without, if they don't have another land, they're not going to be able to Daze. So Tamiyo is a scary card, but not when they don't have mana. Okay, and they are able to fetch here. So I think I probably chill on the combo and Dress Down first. I think what I'll probably do is push Tamiyo instead. And then I'll hold up mana for Stifle. They're fetching basics, so they've got the fear. All right, Tamiyo's coming in. Again, as long as we keep them low enough in land, it doesn't matter that they're creating these clues. Flip Tamiyo doesn't really affect us other than the ability to like regrow removal. So they're not presenting any removal in their graveyard, and they don't even have removal colors currently. So options, 1, we could just push here. We can hold up Stifle in case they fetch. We can end step Dress Down. We're drawing Ponder. We could Frog. I don't think that's correct. Not when we have the deck, when we have things set up the way they are. I think I'm going to wait and I'm going to see if they have a Brainstorm. They already pitched 1 Brainstorm. But it's definitely safer to Dress Down instep than it is to attempt to Stifle, because that crumples hard to Daze and you lose 2 cards instead of just losing 1. They've got their basics. Strix is fine, actually. What do we do here? We have the push for the Strix. I think we just let it happen, and then I'm going to Dress Down, and then I will Dreadnought, and then I'll have Strix up. Or I'll have Fatal Push up for Strix. They're going to attack here, which is fine. As long as they don't have a Daze, I think we're good. If they have a Daze, this could be problematic. We haven't given them a window to Daze anything so far this game. I think I'm going to get my Swamp. We don't play any double blue spells except for the other card, and I do suspect they have tempo cards in their deck. Let's Dress Down. It's in. We get a card. Force is a great card. All right. Another Dreadnought would just be bonkers. Okay, so what I think we do is we just play out the Dreadnought, And then we hold up Stifle mana. I think that's more important than push mana. Then next turn we can push the Strix and we can start attacking. I'm all for constricting their mana though, because they have these clues and those are quite good. So Force will pitch Tamiyo. I think we let this happen and we can figure out a way to get rid of Strix later. We are drawing a lot of action. I don't want to... I mean, they may very well have a fatal push and just clearing the way for it, but we're damned either way. This way we have plenty of backup plans because they're not presenting a ton of pressure or anything. Even hitting them one time with Phyrexian Dreadnought might get their life low enough that they're cramped for the rest of the game. So they're basically going to go to 2 if they block with the... or they'll go to 4 if they block with the Strix currently. I'm going to attempt to stifle. Oh, wait, they took the stifle. I didn't notice that. Okay, well, they are going to be able to stifle here. Or the fetch here. Mixing up my words, my card names. I will force removal on the Strix, or on the Dreadnought. If they flip Tamiyo, that's fine. I'm not going to freak out about that. Because, again, they're not presenting any sort of removal at this point. Okay. So I think they're probably going to attempt to force this Fatal Push. I do think it's worth playing the land out first, just in case they have like a Spell Pierce. If they force here, that would be their second force, which is less likely. Okay, and now we can attack. They're dropping to 2. Fetch lands are going to become painful. Forces are going to become painful. Fatal Push is going to be countered. I'm going to pitch Tamiyo for this. Can they do anything back? Okay. And I am going to go ahead and deploy Frog. I've got nothing else going on. I just want to have a second. Like, Frog can actually come in and hit them and kill them next turn, potentially, with the card we draw. Not if they flip Tamiyo. They do have lots of cards they can draw here, but that's going to eat up their mana, and they really have one turn cycle to answer both of these. Unless they hold back Tamiyo. If they hold back Tamiyo, then I can't attack for lethal with Frog. So they could... The play here from their perspective is kill the Dreadnought and hold back Tamiyo to block Psychic Frog, but that'll only work for one turn. Theft is okay. It's not the same as pushing. I can now kill Tamiyo in combat and clear the way for a subsequent swing. They used up a lot of mana that they would have potentially used for clues there too. They should not attack with Tamiyo. That would be dumb. Okay. Another Frog. I think it's a force block. They could have Brainstorm as their last card, or one of their 2 last cards. Certainly possible. The lower risk play is just a Frog again. Yeah, I like frogging a second time instead of pitching my hand. I'm going to see if they... It is a force block though, so they are going to block here. I mean, they could have it. I'm going to go for it. And I should have technically discarded the Phyrexian Dreadnought first, just in case. Do they have Brainstorm? They don't. Okay, great. So we have a lethal threat on the table. This can only block creatures with flying. They can crack some clues and potentially find another Fatal Push. We have nothing going on if that happens, and we'll probably lose. This could be another Brazen Borrower. This could be like a Go for the Throat. Murktide. Coming in as a 7/7. That's good. We have Sink It Stupor to deal with that. We don't have much else. They can't attack with the Murktide. I'm going to hold. Eventually, I will be able to overpower the Murktide, but it's going to take a while. And they do have clues to drop. So, oh man. Yeah, if I had a second Frog, it wouldn't matter. So I think actually taking the Tamiyo off the board was correct there. We do have, of course, ways that we could have deployed. Okay, they have their own Frog. That's good for them. This can potentially buff the Murktide further. They're crazy if they attack with, though. Yeah. All right, Force. I still think we hold. Yeah, I mean, they are definitely... The advantage bar is on their side of the table right now, even though they're 2 life. That's unfortunate. I think we lost. Because now they can attack for a lot, and they've got the Frog advantage going. We don't have a way to just suddenly do 2 damage to them. I'm going to concede. Yeah, they're only attacking with that, but it doesn't matter. They're going to pull ahead very quickly with these clues. So I don't think that was a premature concession. I think it's like a foregone conclusion. Also, they can make this lethal threat next turn. There's nothing we can draw that can end the game fast enough. Okay. So we got killed by blue-black tempo, which is arguably the superior deck, but not as strong against combo. I think they're likely bringing in Bowmasters. We could bring in our Bowmasters. What would we take out? Against blue-black tempo, Thoughtseize is really bad. It really doesn't do much. Wastelands are bad, but we're already pretty low on lands. We could take out a Dress Down, but Dress Down's pretty good. I mean, it's not actually good. They don't have any ETB creatures other than Strix. I think because they're playing Strix, I am going to bring in some of the... I want to bring in all four. So I think Force is actually the worst card in our deck right now, other than Thoughtseize. So we could cut that and we just go up threats. I think I like that. Let's go. Okay, and my opponent complimented the YouTube channel, which is very nice of them. This is a mulligan. Don't even look. If there aren't lands in the hand, don't even look at it. It's only going to cause you heartbreak. Like, I mean, these have been insane hands, of course, but of course they're insane because they're all action. My opponent says the deck seems funny. I think they meant seems fun, but they could mean seems funny in that I don't respect Dreadnought. I don't think it's very good. Okay, so our opponent is already going to be... We're on the play, but they have a lot more cards than us. And the fact that they're on blue-black doesn't penalize them because we're just casting creatures that die to Fatal Push just as easily. We don't have a single like Murktide or anything like that in our deck. So, all right, this is the All-Lander. But sadly, I think I'm going to actually keep this because going low is a recipe for death. We can just play basics here. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to open Tamiyo and hope they don't have a Fatal Push. I am going to play the Island out. All right. So our hand is like literally nothing. It's blank cardboard. I think this is going to be a short match. Blue-black tempo is definitely favored over us. We are much more favored. So I would argue blue-black tempo is definitely the more well-rounded deck against the mana there. Exactly what I feared would happen. We are going to be able to waste them, which I do think we do, but it's, you know, it's not going to necessarily get us there. It's sad that we drew the Brainstorm that we needed to flipper, because if I had known that was going to come, then I would have definitely held. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and waste here, and we'll pass. And they're likely going to... Yeah, I mean, it feels pretty bad to lose a game where you're on the play, you stifle their first fetch, they have to force it, and then, yeah, you still lose. That's definitely feel bad. All right. Bowmasters are great. I could bait them into wasting. Maybe they waste immediately. I don't know. But, I mean, Bowmasters, if they attempt to waste me, I am going to deploy this. Yeah. And it could be that they have, but they're not going to be able to daze this. If they find their own Bowmasters, fine. But we're constricting their mana. I don't want to wait a full turn cycle. And I don't want to just try to get them. You know, they play enough cantrips that this could be punishing. We can go get our swamp next turn. And then we're basically insulated from, oh, wow, that was their only land. Okay, great. We may win on a mold of 5. I'm not going to celebrate yet. Oh, that's so insane. Let's go ahead and attack. We got 7 cards in hand, but no land. There's a saying that screw beats flood. And if we were kind of flooded, we've unflooded ourselves to an extent, but we are still very much in the danger zone. If they draw another Wasteland, if they make it to 2 land and cast a giant Murktide, there are lots of things that can go wrong here. Okay, they scooped. That's great. I thought we were completely dead in that round after the mold of 5. All right, and you may hear my daughter playing piano in the background. Both my daughter and my son love to play piano, and I am happy to report that they have perfect pitch. They can identify tones based on like the frequencies without seeing the music sheet, which is pretty powerful. It's not innate; it can be trained because I don't have perfect pitch. I don't think my wife has perfect pitch, but my kids got it, so it's not genetic. It can be learned for sure. You just need a good piano teacher. Okay, that's the end of the pitch for. I think we have to keep this. We mulliganed a hand that didn't have land. We went down to 18 land, but we do have technically the 19th land. But the curve is so low that I just couldn't justify going any higher. So Dress Down is part of the combo. I think we keep it and we put back one of these Brainstorms. That way we have the ability to fish. Also, Brainstorm is really a pretty big liability when you're in a Bowmaster mirror. So I think turn 1, we're just going to ponder for land. Yeah, and they're opening island, so our Wastelands are probably not super duper powerful in this matchup. If we can find the combo, that's good. But again, the combo is easily broken up by the likely 6 removal spells, maybe 7 in their deck. That's not a good draw. I am going to go ahead and ponder here because I really want to find a black source. This is not keepable. Even though it has the Dreadnought, I'm not going to go all in on a Dress Down into the Dreadnought line. I don't think it's... Dreadnought is actually pretty weak in this matchup, and you could argue we should cut it. All right, Stifle's not terrible, but it's not great. There could be a situation where we're able to Wasteland and Stifle our way into what we got last game. I think they have a Bowmaster likely, which is fine if they fire it off because we're going to be the last person to cast a Bowmaster. I am going to not do what they did, and I'm going to wait till their upkeep or until they tap this to fire it off. There we go. I am just going to Daze here. I don't have anything to do next turn. This also, if they force or something, then I can get this Brainstorm out of my hand. Okay. I'm not going to use the Brainstorm here, but I am going to go ahead and waste. You never want to waste when there's a spell in the stack because they can Daze. So now we don't have Daze, unfortunately, if they have a fetch. But oh, they don't have a fetch. Okay, so here at this point, I think... Oh, no, wait. They were clicking to a different state. So they're going to go get a land. I don't think it's likely that we're going to be able to screw them out of the game, considering they do have basics. They shuffle, they draw. Okay, yeah, they have another non-basic. So we could draw a Wasteland and be back in this in terms of our dream of screwing them out of the game. But I think we just play this, and I will Stifle fetches because I have Dress Down. Okay, I'm going to Stifle that fetch. This is fine. I'm not going to do anything about this. I'll just remove it later with the Bowmaster. They get a card. Please fetch now. They are not fetching. Okay, so now we have to kind of keep this mana up. Yeah, I'm going to keep it up. I'm not going to get impatient. Our own fetch, which is great. So what we can do now is we can get our basic swamp if we want to. Yeah, I don't think baiting them into wasting us is where we want to be right now because we have so much gas in our hand. These Bowmasters are going to be very strong, but they are bad if our opponent is able to get into Murktide territory. So we're taking 1 here. I'm not going to let them Daze my Bowmasters. I'm going to be very patient with these because these are worth their weight in gold. All right, First Blood. They have so much mana now, I'm questioning the merits of Stifling. We could bait out the Bowmasters with the Brainstorm, but we don't actually have a clean answer to it until next turn, and we wouldn't be able to answer with the Brainstorm still in the stack, so I'm just going to chill. We could Dress Down and maybe... Actually, maybe if we Dress Down, that baits them into using some interaction here. We are going to be grabbing the Swamp here, and I'm going to attempt to Dress Down here and see whether we can get a Force. Even a Daze is not the worst. They don't know what's coming, but... Okay, they're brainstorming in response. So what we can do is, assuming this resolves, then we can brainstorm and we can potentially find a Phyrexian Dreadnought. And we can brainstorm without fear of them casting a Bowmasters, which is nice. Dress Down is such a versatile card. Did I mention that it completely kills constructs? Like in a format where everybody's playing Urza Saga? It's pretty good. That's going to resolve. We're going to get a card. All right, a Delta. I'll take it. It is a fetch for our Brainstorm. So what I think we do here is I am going to go ahead and start with a Brainstorm. We have no fear. They don't know that it's a high priority to counter this. Oh, wow. We found the Dreadnought. Yay. Okay. So we don't really need this land, I don't think. Stifle is not super strong right now. In fact, I can't think of a good reason to play Stifle at this point because I don't think we're going to be able to beat them on the land axis. I think we just have to overload their threats. Okay, so we're going to play this out. I'm going to go ahead and fetch now. We got Underground Sea. They could have Wastelands in their hand. Underground Sea. I want to keep mana up. I'm just going to use like this. We're not really pretending we have anything good here. I think it's highly likely this gets bounced back to hand or just pushed. We have plenty of ways to get rid of this in time to swing. That was precisely what we were hoping our Brainstorm delivers us. All right, Dress Down dies. Our opponent might Bowmasters or something, just Fatal Push. Yeah, there's nothing we can do about that. Again, it's not a 2-for-1, it's a 1-for-1 because we drew a card off Dress Down. If you stifle your Dreadnought, it does become a 1-for-2 essentially when they remove it. You're down a card. But this is card neutral. That is one fewer card they'll have to be able to push our Orcish Bowmasters. So I'm pretty confident we'll be able to get Bowmaster Supremacy, but winning through Bowmaster Supremacy is risky when your opponent's playing Murktide, and their Murktide would currently be a 6/6. They're going to Brainstorm now while the Dress Down's still out. That makes sense, but it doesn't really matter because I don't have mana to cast anything. I am choosing not to Daze here. I could have Dazed this. I just think that there's a decent chance that like maybe Daze does something later. I mean, they're flooded, basically. They've got a lot of lands. They put a Delta into their graveyard. This card is a pain in the ass, but I think we can probably play through it. It's hit and miss as to whether it's going to work. The scariest card they could play right now would probably be Wasteland because then Daze would be back on. They definitely do have a lot of 2-drops in their deck. They probably have like 1 or more frogs. Oh, they definitely have 4 frogs. They may have more Baleful Strixes. They probably have a couple more Bowmasters. We've gotten through one of them. This was, in my humble opinion, kind of a sloppy play. Like, they didn't have to turn on Daze for me here. If this... I mean, we're going to get information as to whether we're able to resolve Bowmasters here. Okay, Brazen Borrower. All right, that's a 3-drop. It's good to know about that. Gosh, if we counter this... Oh, they have to force. Okay, well, we're probably still dead. It's still a giant creature that we can't deal with. Yeah, but we know that the coast is going to be clear for us to resolve probably a Psychic Frog. I think it's probably our best bet at survival. They're down to 1 card. They pitched... What did they pitch to force? Oh, they exiled a Brazen Borrower. Interesting. Yeah. So they have a Borrower on top, and they pitched a Borrower. So the fact that they have a Borrower on top makes it a lot harder for us to go all in on Frog because, yeah, it is just really rough. I think the only draw in our deck that saves us here is Sink into Stupor. But that's a 3-drop, and that will get countered this turn, so we would have to wait until after the draw step. And they can just redeploy the Murktide. Murktide is like a nightmare for our deck. There is a possibility that we draw like Dress Down into Phyrexian Dreadnought. That would be like one path to victory. So we're not completely dead, but we're mostly dead. I think what we do here is we just deploy a Bowmaster now, and then we have a second Bowmasters to hit their thing, and we're going to die over the course of 2 turns. I don't think Frog is correct here. Frog is not going to successfully deter attacks. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and do the safe. I guess it's safe. There's no safety right now. We're super dead. I'm going to hit their Strix, though. Okay, we know this isn't going to get countered. All right, and we'll hit this. I mean, they may just cast the... if they just cast the Borrower out, that's good, because we can ping it and we can deploy a Psychic Frog, and then Psychic Frog can chump, but we're going to need a lot of chumpers. Okay, and they have this. They can attack. I am going to push end step to see what their card is. We just have to take this. My thinking is we may be able to chump with Psychic Frog for a turn cycle. So we know they don't have Brainstorm. They have Brazen Borrower. If their top card is a 1-drop, we can just concede. Good games. I'm going to concede. The only path to victory was getting rid of this frog and then having a frog that we could jump and then somehow cantripping into something really good, because Murktide is not widely played right now, but it is just insane. I think both of those games we lost to giant Murktides. Let's go to round 3. We're 1-1. So a quick note about sideboarding, like bringing in the Bowmasters, I think absolutely correct. You could argue that we should take out the Phyrexian Dreadnought in that matchup, but I think it's still, like there's still a chance of kind of high rolling and them not having removal or you being able to protect it against a deck like Jeskai or Beanstalk that has like, 6 to 8 exile-based removal spells. I would definitely take out Dreadnoughts and I would just replace them with the Bowmasters. And I'd probably also be bringing in the Thoughtseize and stuff like that. But you don't generally want to bring in Thoughtseize against Delver style decks because, you know, like they're like every card in their deck is kind of functionally similar. It's either like an interaction spell or it's a threat. And you're not going to, like, there's no one card that you have to remove. Like against Beanstalk, you always have to Thoughtseize the Beanstalk. Against Jeskai, you always have to you know, Thoughtseize like the Teferi or the Narset or the Fourth Aerolingus or some big card. But again, against Delver decks, especially against like traditional Delver, where they're playing even more like Nethergoyfs and stuff like that, you want to be able to remove it. But paying a black mana and paying 2 life against an aggro deck to be able to remove some, you know, threat, generic threat, whatever it may be, is generally not worth it, in my humble opinion. So I just wanted to defend my sideboarding decisions. That is definitely what I've learned from talking with experienced tempo players over the years. This is a great hand. We've got the combo. I just hope that they're on combo. Unknown opponent. If they are on combo, they could just completely destroy us. But I think like this makes the lands. We can get both our basics. We've got Wasteland. We've got a Daze. We've got tons of disruption. And we have the combo. I think this is snap keep. And even in the blind. If they're on like Eldrazi or something. Oh, Mountain. Okay. This is great for us. Okay. Sorry, friend. You are not going to get there. I don't think that Burn is going to beat us. I could be wrong. I definitely could be wrong. But my spider sense is we're going to be able to get this Dreadnought out, and they're probably not going to be able to do anything about it. Thoughtseize is a terrible draw. I think what we do here is we island, and then we can brainstorm back at least one of these cards. We want to brainstorm back the Thoughtseize and the Wasteland. Wasteland's not going to be useful here. They're going to do a lot of damage here. We have to resist the temptation of Daze. Bolt Wave. Okay, we're going to take 3. We're also going to take 1 when we fetch here, sadly. And so we're taking 7 here. We're dropping to 9. They don't have the Fireblast follow-up, which is nice. I am going to instep Brainstorm. I'm just going to get at least one. I can only get one of these cards out of my hand, but it's worth it. Okay, so this is bad for sure. This is a chump blocker or a blocker in general. I think we can keep that. I think Wasteland is not as bad as Thoughtseize, but I don't want Thoughtseize for sure. So I got rid of the Thoughtseize. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're just going to play this. I'm going to go ahead and fetch the Swamp. You could argue that maybe I should just play the Wasteland and not even get the Swamp. But Wasteland is a card that they can, like right now, we're not going to take any damage if they Price of Progress, which they likely have in their deck, considering the meta. Like Price of Progress has never been stronger. So many people are playing non-basics. So they're unlikely to attack here. We just need 2 attacks. Oh, they're going to attack anyway? Mad Lad. Lava Spike. Okay, we're going to take... Is this lethal? Okay, they did tap out, and I do think it's worth dazing this. Just to save 3 damage, 3 life. Yeah, I am going to daze this. And then we have force if they have like Fire Blast. Yeah, we could lose. They're going to attack in. They're going to lose one of their creatures. Unfortunately, we're going to drop to 6. Force might... yeah, Force might save us. I'm going to go ahead and just block 1. And then we're going to take 4. We're going to drop to 6. If we attack, we don't have a blocker back. We could absolutely die. We don't have a way to deploy 2 different blockers. I'm just going to play the land out. I do think we might as well play Psychic Frog here as opposed to Tamiyo. Now we have potentially a large Psychic Frog. We are going to attack here. I don't think that's negotiable. We've got to reduce their life before they can reduce ours. They have double, burn spell. We're screwed. Wooded Foothills is a good sign. Fetching. 3 mana. Chain Lightning. Chain Lightning is lethal. We're taking 3, and then they're attacking for 2. We could take 1 instead of 3. The last card in their hand. So let's see. If we take this, we're not necessarily dead, but if they have one more thing, we are dead. We have to force one of their spells. We should assume that this is like their other spell is not Fire Blast. It's not worth even more than this. So we're going to drop to 5. And then if they have another 3 damage thing, we're dead. If their other card is like a Goblin Guide or something like that, we're not necessarily dead. Okay, we won. We did it. We beat Burn. Okay, that was great. And now games 2 and games 3 are going to be a lot easier because we know what we're up against and we can keep accordingly. Get Thoughtseize out of our deck for sure. What else? What do we bring in? Like, none of these cards are particularly good against them. We've got our Hydroblast. I definitely didn't have Burn on my bingo calendar for this match, this league. Is Consign better? Let's think about triggered abilities in their deck. I mean, technically, Suspend, I think, if they still play Rift Bolt. I'm not sure. Let's take a look. Okay, so we actually don't know because there are no top results. But it's probably not going to get us, is what I'm thinking. I think we just take a Wasteland out of our deck. They're not going to go after our mana. We don't care about wasting any of their lands. Wasteland's a pretty bad draw. Sinking to Stupor is bad as well. We're definitely not going to want to shock that in, but at least it does have text and it pitches to force. So we're going to go like this. Stifle's also pretty bad. Basically, like half our deck is totally useless against them. Yeah, let's do it. Round 2, we don't have the combo. This hand does have a lot of interaction. It has a basic swamp. So Underground Sea is pretty bad. I think the way we win is we get a giant frog and ride the frog, or we get a Phyrexian Dreadnought. I'm willing to mulligan this. Cards are not the big issue. This does have the combo. I think we keep this. This actually has the Tamiyo and Brainstorm combo, and Tamiyo may be able to distract. I'm going to keep this. We're going to put back... I think I put back a Brainstorm, and my reasoning is we're going to island here. We likely will have to Daze some important spell. Yeah, I'm going to put that back. I would love for them to be pointing burn spells at Tamiyo, especially if we're able to Daze them. They are Mountain Lava Spiking us. Very predictable start from Burn. If you haven't played against Burn before, basically it's just a question of how quickly they can get the cards they need to win. So I'm going to go ahead and just get an island here. We are looking for another land, but I do think it's worth getting Tamiyo out because we can flip her. And yeah, and she may distract and she can block. It's like not trivial that she can block a Goblin Guide. There's a Chain Lightning. I'm going to Daze this because I can flip her next turn. And I don't necessarily guarantee have a land to cast next or to play next turn. Okay, wow. They are on one land, which means their entire hand is burn spells. Scary. All right, we got another Brainstorm. I'm going to go ahead and just attack and then Brainstorm. I am giving them an artifact that they could potentially smash to smithereens. But I'd rather them smash that than smash my Dreadnought. Okay, we're mana screwed. We are going to be able to Brainstorm our way out of this. But it's not going to be pretty. But the good news is we do have Flip Tamiyo, and she is pretty good at distracting opponents. And, you know, potentially regrowing Daze if they stay on 1 mana. Although I'm almost certainly just going to be going up with her. I do think next turn... Okay, they're just doing 3 to us. Okay. So if we draw our entire deck, we will draw a lot of interaction. I think it is fine to Brainstorm just on the possibility that now we get a fetch. Okay, so Ponder is good. So I don't think we need... What card do we put back? I think we're probably fine putting back Fatal Push. And then we'll draw another Psychic Frog. And then we can potentially deploy 2... once we are able to dress down, we can deploy 2 Dreadnoughts, which will be insurance against them being able to stop us. But this next turn is going to be somewhat of a clinch because we don't have any interaction really. If this is a blast, that'll be sad. If they're just hitting us, I think there's nothing we can do about this. Yeah. All right. I'm going to go ahead and start by pondering for a land. If I don't find a land, okay, I did. So we're just going to take this fetch. I'm going to put it in play. I am going to plus Tamiyo again. They do have hasty beats. We're in a precarious situation though. Even if we draw like half our deck, we're going to need to be forcing a lot of their stuff. They found a land. That unlocks probably the rest of their hand. Eidolon, that doesn't really matter that much. Well, actually, it kind of does. Well, no, we dress down. We take a damage from that, but then it shut off. Okay, this is going to be tricky to navigate, but we're going to do our best. So I'm going to start by fetching away the bad cards. We're going to get Underground Sea. Now we're going to draw a card. It doesn't really matter. We're going to draw our deck, half our deck. We have a basic that I think we play out. So we could just play we could push this and then we could Stiflenought. Let's see how many forces do we draw. We drew 1 force and 1 Daze. Okay, this is pretty good. So I think what we do is we push Eidolon and then we just play a Dreadnought and Stifle it. And then we have lots of stuff up to protect it. So we're going to take a damage here. 2 damage. Now, Stiflenought or Dreadnought. Okay, and now we hang back and we hope that they don't have some combination of like Fireblast and burn spells that can kill us this turn. We have to attack twice. That is fine. Goblin Guide. Unfortunately, one of these is going to be able to get through and it's not going to be debuffed. I think we block the Goblin Guide because it represents 2 damage on the table, whereas Swift Spear only represents 1. We could have freaking dazed that. I think it's probably correct to daze the second one to prevent the damage. Yeah, we had lots of dazes. I think that was a misplay on my part. That was definitely a misplay. Okay, so we're going to get our trigger. It doesn't matter. We get a Wasteland. We've got plenty of cards. All right, so I am going to block here. We're going to take 1. We are going to be able to... Oh, they attacked her. That's actually fine. Okay, good. Now... we draw. Let's just check what we drew here. I think it's fine to play. It's worth noting that if we keep up the mana, we have Sink into Stupor to bounce certain spells that they might cast. If we just... oh, you know what? Last turn we could have won if we just played out a Frog instead of putting the Dreadnought. I just got tunnel vision on that. If you're like screaming at the monitor, I apologize. That was unintentionally bad play. Okay, so I think what we do here, we do have... a lot of stuff covered. We could... how many Dreadnoughts could we put in play this turn? Just 1. Well, I mean, unless we draw 1 off of Dress Down, but I don't think we should do the Dress Down route. I think we should do the Frog route. If we do the Frog route, we don't even need to attack. We've got 20 cards in hand. I think playing Wasteland is fine because it gives us mana and we can just waste our Underground Sea if we need to, and then we don't take any damage. So I'm going to play that out. Now I'm going to play out a Frog. There's no reason to even attack here, just in case they do have lots of attackers, because we can kill next turn. So I think we just pass. We can also dress down if they have some sort of like crazy creature they put in play, like Eidolon. Actually, it doesn't really matter. I think they're dead either way. So I'm just going to do it this way. Chain Lightning targeting us. I'm not going to force that. I could daze it, and then we're basically guaranteed to not die next turn. I could even double daze it, and then I have force up. Let's bring that back to my hand. And keep in mind, this is like 0. Like I'm still going to have plenty of cards to discard. So they're paying. I think I'll just go ahead and daze again. And then if they have like Fireblast, we can also stop that. They said GG. Okay, we got it. So we're 2-0. I think Burn like could be pretty scary for a deck that doesn't have Phyrexian Dreadnought in it. But Phyrexian Dreadnought, like it's very difficult to race 12 damage trample every turn. I am disappointed in myself that I didn't see the line of just playing out Frog instead of putting out the Dreadnought, because I could have just ended the game last turn, and not given them this turn. So that was a punt. But I am glad that I saw that I was disciplined enough to see that there was no reason to attack with Phyrexian Dreadnought. We had them absolutely dead the following turn anyway. So yeah, I would say I just want to give props where props are warranted and slops where slops are warranted. So I will see you in round 4. Round 3, we are 2-1, and we are likely up against Red Stompy. This opponent has been playing Red Stompy a ton. I don't like the fact that we didn't find a blue source. I can't keep this either. Here we go.
This is not a good hand by any means. This is actually pretty terrible. But I like the Daze. I think I'm going to put back Underground Sea. Stifle's not going to be particularly good in this matchup. I'm going to put that back. No. Cancel. Sorry. I'm going to put this back. And I'm going to put this back. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, and the best thing we can do is just... Oh, they have Gemstone Cavern. Scary. What do they exile? They exile the Pyroglyph. Okay, so I think what we do here is just... We want to get our basics. And I'm hoping that I can just grab a basic island and Daze this. Whatever they're about to throw our way. We want to get our Dreadnought into play as quickly as possible. Okay, I can sense the 4-drop coming on. They're moxing. Their hand is 3 cards now. Oh, no. No. Okay, well. Yeah, I do have to fetch here. I'm just going to get the island. We're probably cooked, but I'm not going to give up. And I'm just going to let it happen. We can still win if we can find a Dreadnought and a Stifle. It's going to be hard. They're down to 2 cards in the hand. That is a dud. That is a brick. We're not going to be able to shuffle our Brainstorm. I don't think we risk... Yeah, I think we just play this out and we chill for a turn because there's nothing we could draw that we could play with 1 colorless mana. I just want to maximize looks before I Brainstorm. They only have 4 mana now, so it's possible that I can Daze something they do. I am going to Daze this. Do they have Spirit Guide as their last card? They do not. I think we chill for a turn. Like it can be tempting, but they have 0 pressure. All they've done is lock us. Okay, another Brainstorm. So I think we play the Brainstorm, and we can always potentially Brainstorm into another Daze if they do another 4-drop. They should be drawing a lot of air, though, because their deck is mostly air. This is not air. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about this. They're going to be able to attack us. We just have to let this happen. I am going to Brainstorm end step, though. I guess I could have found a Force. Maybe that was bad, and maybe I should have gone ahead. Okay, they have Pyroglyph in the exile. They can't cast that this turn. Exile the top. You may play that card this turn. Okay. Was it good that Pyroglyph got exiled? Because hopefully the next card they flip won't be anything they can cast either. I'm going to Brainstorm here just to see if we can get closer to a... These are all bad. Bad news bears. All right. I think at this point, I probably just want to play another land and chill. I want to play the... Doesn't matter. Yeah, because if we can get to Phyrexian Dreadnought plus Stifle, then we can still win. Or if we can get to Dress Down into Stifle, we can potentially win. Let's see what they exile. Vexing Bauble, that sucks. It's not too consequential, but it's just like one other lock piece that they can put into play. Hitting us for 4 here. So we're like dead in 2 turns, basically. Okay, there's a land. What are they playing? The One Ring. This doesn't actually make the game that much worse for us, because if we can find the card, we can still potentially win, I think. I think I wait and I draw another card. I do think games 2 and games 3 are going to be a lot better for us because we'll know what we're up against. I am going to Brainstorm here. I'm going to concede. We're not going to dig through this in time. Okay, let's go to game 2. So changes that we're going to make. We're going to bring in 4 Consigns instead of Stifle. Stifle is terrible against this because they're not playing fetch. Like whenever there are not fetches, I don't think Stifle is a good card. Stifle is an amazing card when your opponent's on fetches. Bowmasters is good against One Ring, and Bowmasters can potentially snipe opponents. I think Thoughtseize comes in. Daze comes out. Daze is not good. Let's see. Is there anything else we can definitely take out? I don't think Tamiyo is particularly strong, but I don't really have enough cuts. Oh, wait. Actually, we're at 60 just by taking out Stifle and Daze. I think Wasteland's worth keeping just in case they find... Yeah, I think we just run it like this and hope to clip early action. Yeah, I don't think we bring in Bowmasters. So, priority number 1, get basics under us. Sink into Stupor is, I think we can play it without having to pay the life. If Blood Moon's out. This is an insane hand. I'm going to keep this. I'm going to pretend like I'm thinking for a minute. This is very strong in that we can get Tamiyo on the table, potentially distract them, and then we can have a turn 2 Dreadnought. We may not be able to use these fatal pushes. I'm not going to risk us getting Blood Moon turn 1 and not being able to cast our spells. Let's get the island here. Tamiyo, pass. I would love, again, to unlock these fatal pushes, but these are the cards that we need to win. Mountain, Vexing Bauble doesn't affect us. Pass. I don't know if they actually have any good cards that can stop a Phyrexian Dreadnought. I am going to go ahead and do the combo. I'm going to attack first. Just in case they do something. Like, I don't imagine what they would do with a Vexing Bauble out, but just good heuristics to adhere to that you always attack with Tamiyo first. Now, we're going to Dreadnought. Dreadnought hits. We're going to consign. We've got our 12/12. We're going to pass. Deal with it. They're still playing the game, which means they still have like Dead Gone or something like that maybe. Broadside. I am okay with racing Broadside. If you want to attack me, I'll be impressed if you can race. They are firing the bauble at Tamiyo. I can't save her. Okay. Another Dreadnought. Not what we really want to see here. I think I'm going to start by attacking. I have the option of cracking the clue instead of using Brainstorm. I think it's fine to use Brainstorm, though. We've got lots of dead cards we want to put away. I would classify these as definitely dead cards we want to put away. I think it's totally reasonable to go ahead and hit their city to constrict their options. All right, we've got Force of Will, which may be able to stop them from doing anything too degenerate. All right, that was the game. So if we can just repeat that, I'll feel pretty good. But we're going to be on the draw again. Actually, this will be the first time we were on the draw. We actually won I think we won the coin flip. Okay. On the draw, nothing changes. I think we just run it back. What I said earlier, don't even look at your hand when you have to mulligan. I'm just so sad, like just seeing that even in my peripheral vision. This is the combo. This is soft to turn 1 Blood Moon, but we're going to keep it. Put back Frog. Hope that we get a chance to fetch. We get a chance to fetch. That's great. I think we chill and we dress down. I like the idea of consigning something. Is that likely to happen? No. We are going to need our mana next turn. I think I'm going to ponder. I'm going to try to find a force. I'm going to shuffle these. I'm looking for fetch land for swamp. Another consign is not the worst, but it's not what we're really looking for. We need a third land because I don't feel safe. Like if they pyro the consign, like they may very well be playing Hydroblast. That's a big problem for us. Fable is okay. I can potentially consign stuff later if I need to. They're already at 18. Land, no. Okay. So, safest thing to do is dress down. If they pyro the dress down, then we have the consign trigger and they'll have tapped out a red. But no, they'll have a token from this. They are actually tapped out. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it. They're going to need Dead Gone specifically. And if they gone it, then we have a second shot at it anyway. I'm not sure if they have a way to just get rid of it straight up. They are going to be able to look at a lot of cards here. One Ring would be bad, but it's not going to be bad enough. Pyrogoyf is not strong enough. Broadside is good, but it's not strong enough to kill us. I am going to block the... Okay, well, I'm not going to block because they're not going to attack. I'll just take this. They could have definitely attacked with both and gotten the trigger. This is kind of frustrating. We could consign the flip. They're at 4 life. Okay, I'm trying to think of the sequences in which they could potentially kill me. Dress Down does shut down a lot of the stuff. It also gives us a card to refill. And so I think it's probably okay to Dress Down. If we consign the flip, they can still attack us for 4. Then they could throw, if they have a Fury, they can throw for 9. Or wait, 7. So 7 plus 2 plus 2 is a total of 11. We're at 17. So I think we're safe from Fury throws. They won't be able to immediately activate the Fable. I think it's best to chill. We can set a stop and begin combat, and then we can definitely attempt to Dress Down before they can do anything. I think that's better than trying to consign this. Yeah, I'm not going to consign that. So at this point, they can throw them to one another and do a lot of damage, but I don't think it's enough. I am worried that they're going to Pyroblast this. I don't think there's any harm in letting this resolve. We go to begin combat. This should give us an opportunity to go ahead and Dress Down now. I'd love to rip a force off this. There's the Pyroblast. Okay. Can you now kill us? Let's see what they can do here. That was incredibly close. Incredibly close. 1 life. My goodness. Can you believe how close that was? This Broadside Bombardiers card is such a menace. I mean, it's literally got menace, but it's just crazy how quickly it can deal damage. Had they had Fury, we definitely would have been dead because they could have cast Fury and then thrown it for 7. Wow, 1 life. Insane. We're going 3-1 into the final round. Round 5. We are 3-1. We are up against a likely Storm player. This person is famous for playing a lot of different blue-black decks. And let's see if this Stiflenought was, in fact, blue-black. After my own heart. All right, let's see. This is a keep. I like the Psychic Frog. I like being able to stifle them. Fatal Push. This seems like a really good general purpose hand. If they storm us, that'll suck. Okay, so this tells me they're probably on Sneak and Show or Storm. Let's take a look. Ad Nauseam Tendrils doesn't generally play red. Oh, I guess this build does. And I don't see the Surveil land. Yeah, I mean, they could be on it. All right, so what we want to do probably is just waste this. What I kind of want to do is go ahead and deploy a land. We know they're playing fetch lands. So if we deploy a land, they won't know what we're on, but we will have Stifle up. And then we can potentially stifle a fetch, and then we can waste the following turn. Oh! Thoughtseize in the house. I think this is what we were going to do. I'm going to go get the... I don't think this is going to be a Blood Moon matchup or even a Wasteland matchup. I think we can go ahead and get Underground Sea, and we can go ahead and... Thoughtseize. This does drop the Stifle. Oh, okay. I see how it's going. So if we take the Ponder, they don't have a good path to getting either Omniscience or Emrakul in play. So they're Omnishow. They have lots of land. So Stifle is not going to be good offensively or defensively. We're not going to be able to stop any of their stuff. So they've got 2 Ancient Tombs and a Mountain, and then Emrakul and Omniscience. They rip a Preordain, which could help them find Show and Tell or Sneak Attack. Usually you don't see red in the Omni builds just because you can't put an Omni with... we can cut them off blue. I think that's probably worth doing. No, I'm going to get a Psychic Frog down. Can we draw a counterspell? No. I mean, we could get Tamiyo out and hit their Thundering Falls, and then they had to find a land in addition to what they're doing. They can still potentially sneak attack, but I like making it harder for them to cantrip. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do this. And then I'm just going to waste them. Yeah, I mean, if they want to take damage off their Ancient Tombs and get themselves closer to 1 swing with the Dreadnought, I'm okay with that. Bobble's annoying as hell. Can't wait for them to ban that, and I do think they'll ban that. We've been facing it in a lot of our matches. It doesn't actually impact our current hand, though. This Fatal Push is something I cannot wait to discard to buff our frog. Brainstorm is a good pickup. We could hold up Stifle and we could Brainstorm to flip Tamiyo. I think that might be all right. I don't think they're likely to interact in any way. I would love to put away the Fatal Push. Let's go and see what we can find here. Sink into Stupor is potentially good. Wasteland is not super good considering they have double Ancient Tomb. Is it better than... So we're definitely putting back Fatal Push. I don't think it does anything in this matchup. Sink into Stupor is a land, and it could potentially bounce something relevant back to hand later. I think we keep it. We already have a Stifle. We don't necessarily need Dress Down. Dress Down is something we can put in against Show and Tell to stop the Emrakul Annihilator trigger, but I don't think that's where we want to be. Okay, so options. One, we're definitely putting that back, but we could put back Sink. I think we would keep Sink. Yeah, I think Dress Down is the card we don't want here. She flips. I'm going to plus her. We don't have a land drop to give. Otherwise, I would definitely play the Waste and crack the Clue. Let's see what they do here. If they play a fetch, I will most definitely Stifle it just to keep them off blue. This is a matchup where we can just go ultimate with Tamiyo and win that way. So we don't actually have to play anything. We just have to hold the fort. We're also going to have double blue and colorless to sink. I think that's worth keeping up. My dream would be they give me something to Stifle here. I'll just get another Underground Sea and deploy a frog next turn probably. I don't think it's worth regrowing the Thoughtseize with Tommy because if we do that, we're getting ourselves further away from winning the game, and I do think we want to close the game quickly. If we draw half our deck, we're almost certainly going to be able to disrupt them through Vexing Bubble. It's worth noting that you can Stifle the Vexing Bubble trigger and force things if you need to. That's not something you can... Wait. Yeah, that is something you can do with Consign as well. Consigns are definitely coming in, though. I think maybe we bring in Consigns in addition to Stifle because both would be relevant in this matchup. Our opponent is still in their upkeep. I think they've most likely tabbed away or something. So I'll just give you an update when they come back. Oh, wait, they're in main. 5 cards in hand. What's the play? Nothing. Love to see it. All right, I'm going to wait till my upkeep and I'll fetch. Fetch away the cards we don't want. Underground Sea number 2. Take a draw. Dress Down again. I don't think that helps us. I don't think we fire the Wasteland. I think we just hold everything up and plus. We've got a lot of action. I don't want to deploy a Psychic Frog and then get blown out. We've got 2 turns before we Psychic Frog. Yeah, I feel a lot better Psychic Frogging after we've already got half our deck in our hand. There's a chance our opponent will scoop, and we can always just crack this end step. They're going to win at sorcery speed. They don't have instant speed wins. Okay, they're not giving us a Stifle window here. They don't know that we play Stifle, though. I'm going to draw a card. Wasteland. That's good. I would love to Stifle them. Please just get antsy and crack that fetch. Okay, they're not doing it. I do think it's probably okay to go ahead and waste them off to their lands here. Let's see, what do we want to do? I think we could double waste and we could still hold up Stifle and Dress Down. We're not holding up Sink anymore. Plus here, they don't know it, but they're basically on 1 land. Pass. Next turn, Tamiyo Armageddon will arrive. We stifled their fetch, by the way. I'm not sure if I said that, so it may have gotten edited out. But okay, here they have land. So their hand is okay. Brainstorm is okay. Not sure. They may have main deck Hydroblast or something like that. They're going to need something like that if they want to win. Passing. I'm going to draw half my deck. Then I'm going to waste them again. If I find the Wasteland. Yeah, there's a Wasteland. I think we do go ahead and we just waste them. We have a lot of options here. Yeah, they just conceded. Okay, cool. So we're up a game against Stinking Show, Omni version. Didn't see anything else that was particularly interesting. The list that I'm going to play in the next time I play this list, I think Thoughtseize definitely comes in. Thoughtseize is great. Hydroblast come in. I don't know that we bring in Consign. I think Consign probably is good, but it's not as good as Daze as Stifle here. And I say obviously because being able to stifle their lands is way better than, the option of potentially countering like a One Ring activation or something. Stifle's just so good here. We could take out the Dreadnoughts. I don't think that is an axis we really care to fight on. And when we take that out, we can also take out the Dress Downs. How many do we want to take out? Do we want to take all of them out? If we take those out and we bring in Bowmasters is a very solid win con that we can deploy at instant speed. I like I like Bowmasters a lot in this matchup. Yeah, I think this is good. I think I'm going to keep it as it is. So for perspective, like we're boarding in a whole lot of additional disruption, and we're boarding out. And we're boarding in Bowmasters as a premier threat. Like Bowmasters is really good against them because a lot of their win conditions involve drawing cards. This is not a keepable hand, sadly. So don't look at it. It's just a bunch of off-color lands. We're going to mull it. This is quite keepable. Thoughtseize is insane against them. I'm even going to float out Underground Sea when I Thoughtseize instead of Swamp. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I want them to... I'll put back Fatal. I should have taken out Fatal Push. That was a misplay. Yeah, we absolutely would rather have Dress Down than Fatal Push. So if there's a game 3, I'll take out Fatal Pushes. Okay. So we could definitely hold up Stifle here, but I think it's more powerful to go ahead and Thoughtseize them. Yeah. And then next turn, we'll have Stifle for the next thing. But you just want to Thoughtseize them as quickly and as frequently as you can. They're going to get something. Maybe they Daze this. Maybe they Brainstorm to hide stuff, which is, we're still getting a card out of their hand. Flusterstorm. It's a card that I can't say is particularly good. Spell Pierce is so much better. Friends don't let friends play Flusterstorm. Maybe in this type of deck, but like I saw Max Distortion in his vintage list. I've always thought Flusterstorm was not a very good card. And I noticed that Max Distortion, when he won the vintage championships, Conventional Wisdom and Vintage, everybody plays Flusterstorm, but he played Spell Pierce. Played 2 Spell Pierces, 0 Flusterstorms in his deck. Brainstorm, they're going to be able to shuffle this away. Nothing I can do about it. So what I'd like to do is Thoughtseize and hold up a Stifle here. And I think it's almost certain that they are going to fetch away. They only saw 1 Stifle, but they could assume that we have lots of Stifles. If they don't shuffle for some reason, okay, yeah, they're shuffling. I don't need to speculate. There's the Ponder. They could set it up to where they have a really good stuff on top of their deck where I can't access it. You can't Thoughtseize the top of your opponent's deck. Definitely looking... Oh, Psychic Frog does help close, but I do think we still go ahead and just Thoughtseize first, and then we might be able to Ponder depending on whether they have fetches. Okay, take a look at this hand. So, they have Sneak Attack, but they have nothing to put in. They could have something on top of their deck. Defense Grid is a total pain. I think we take the Defense Grid here, and then we just Ponder. And they could certainly Sneak Attack next turn. Not a lot we can do about that, unfortunately. Let's see. They have enough to both Sneak Attack and put a monster in. I think we're better off finding a Force. I think I'm going to take the Defense Grid. If we take Defense Grid out... Yeah, I think we have to take Defense Grid because it's just going to make it so for the rest of the game we're going to have to play on eggshells. All right, now we're going to Ponder. We're going to try to find a Force. All right, I'm not going to complain about that. We want the Brainstorm next and the Force. And we're going to want to shuffle away some of these Stifles. We'll definitely pitch a Stifle. Their hand does not have a second blue card for Force. There's the mana we expected. This is going to be the Sneak Attack. This is going to be the Force on that Sneak Attack. They force it through, then there's nothing I can really do here if they drew a blue card. They did draw a blue card. Sneak Attack is on the table. Okay, so we're not completely cooked. Yeah, because they don't have a threat here. What do they pitch? They pitch to ponder. Okay. So their hand is one unknown. Or wait, that should be right. We should know what one of the cards is, right? I think it's Simian Spirit Guide. So what we're going to need to do is whenever they play their threat, we're going to need to stifle it. I'm going to go ahead and brainstorm, and we have to hit land, or else we're not going to be able to. But they may not have a win con. We have to take a calculated risk here. Okay. Now what we can do, I'm going to put this, no wait, we'll stifle the trigger. I think I'm just going to go ahead and play out Frog. I'm not going to wait around. We need to get the clock going. We can start drawing cards and drawing into more stifles. If they have the Emrakul or they have the Atraxa, we're just cooked, and that's that. They do know what they have. They're passing. This is great. Okay, now we have the stifle. We can stifle whatever ETB trigger happens. I'm going to start with a ponder. We could have seen more stuff if we had not pondered here, if we'd attacked first. So that is a misplay. However, we can get a second frog, and I think we should. And we can have both frog and stifle up. That'll feel good. So we're just going to chip at them. They are going to be able to sneak attack a creature in. Sure. They just didn't do anything. Okay, just trying to freak us out. Yeah, I'm not going to stifle that. That was weird. Now we're going to play out a second frog, and we will just go get a Underground Sea and stifle when they do eventually draw a threat. You stifle the Atraxa trigger, you stifle the Annihilator trigger, and you just take 15. Next card, I believe, is a cantrip, so we do want to draw that. Let's go ahead and attack. Again, we're just going to attack for 2 every turn. There's no reason to do anything else. We're not going to flinch. We're going to draw a bunch of cards, then we're going to ponder. They don't have anything out. If we find our Hydroblast, we can just blast this, and then they have nothing going on. Another stifle's great. Hydroblast in the house. They do have Hardcast Force Up. I think we do want to do it main phase. We won. We did it. 4-1. That was super clean. We absolutely slaughtered all the combo decks that came our way. Let's take a look at what we beat. So I think we lost the first, or we lost the second round. What was this against? I'm going to just take a look at the replay real quick. But this deck feels so tight, and we lost against Blue-Black Tempo, which was the expected. Let's see. We beat Eldrazi. We beat a lot of stuff. Let's see. Yeah, this is Blue-Black Tempo. Okay, so I'm going to actually update. I've got this over here. This is what I'm going to post. I'm also going to start including my lists right here, so you don't have to click through to Moxfield if you want. If you don't want to, please give me feedback. Give me feedback on what you all think about these brews, about my gameplay. Leave a timestamp. It's very much appreciated. Okay, so round 4, what we just played was, gosh, my brain is mush. It was Moon Stompy, and then we played against Stinky Show. The only game we lost was against the fair deck, the fair non-aggro deck. Like, what I love about this deck, what I love about Dreadnought, let's pull up the list, as an archetype, is you just get to body the aggro decks. Tempo decks usually lose against aggro decks, but we have this nice backdoor answer to aggro decks. Like, oh, and by the way, can you deal with the 12-12? We get to ask the questions too, right? And this is not a combo deck. This is very much a control deck, kind of a tempo deck. I mean, you could argue this is the most tempo you can go. Full tempo, full 2008, Stifle, Daze, Canadian Threshold, I think is what they called it, with the Nimble Mongoose and everything. Yeah, I mean, this is basically that deck. It's just that this card happens to also get us a 12-12 into play. So really fun. If you enjoy Stiflenought, I have great news. I'm going to publish several more videos on Stiflenought. I think Stiflenought is going to be extremely well positioned once they ban Frog. I'll probably go back to blue-white Stiflenought. The next video is going to be Esper Stiflenought, because as you saw, we lost to Murktide those 2 games. And you don't lose to Murktide when you're casting Swords to Plowshares. You just lose to Murktide when you've only got Fatal Pushes. So I've got a list that's almost identical to this list. Here, actually, I'll get it ready and you'll be able to see it. Here we go. This is Esper Stiflenought. So I love Esper colors, as you probably know. It's my favorite color combination. And what we can do is we can take one of the dress downs, we can sub it out for Curie. Emergent Intelligence. This is a legendary creature. I have to spend a bunch of ticks to buy it, but I did just win some treasure chests. So I think that'll hopefully help offset this. It's a rare card on MTGO, even though it's like 50 cents in paper, because it's just released in one of these special things. But here, let me show you the beauty of bringing white in. We get a prismatic ending, and then, I mean, we're not going to be able to play Thoughtseize, and Thoughtseize was pretty key there, pretty clutch in several of those matchups. But also, it's a card that you often sideboard out. So, unfortunately, we're not going to be as good against Blood Moon type decks because we're playing 3 colors instead of 2, and we only have 1 basic. But we can win with a single basic land. Remember, all it takes is an island and a colorless mana, and you can Phyrexian Dreadnought, Stifle. So, the prismatic endings have just been absolutely key to beating Karnforge, for example, and also against tempo decks, because tempo decks play a lot of 1-drops. They sometimes flip their Tamiyo. It's nice to be able to exile a flip Tamiyo who has like 7 or 8 loyalty on her for 1 white mana. That's pretty strong. But other than that, we're playing basically the same thing. We get the Frog and we get Plow. Best of both parts of the color pie, right? Both edges of the color pie. Other than that, it's going to be exactly the same. So tune in. That video will be dropping tomorrow. And I'm going to go ahead and start recording that right now. Until next time, be excellent to each other and party on.